Hey everyone, my name's Ali and welcome back to my channel, Mindful Living. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you guys a full garden tour for June. If you're new here, I grow in containers on my balcony and I only have 84 square feet of space. Every year, I try and grow as much of my own food as I possibly can, and I'm really excited to show you what I'm growing for 2024. I have over 30 plants on my balcony this year. I also wanted to say a special thank you for 7K subscribers. I recently just hit this on my channel and I did a post about this under my community tab in case you missed it. From the bottom of my heart, thank you guys so much for continuing to support my journey to living more mindfully. Okay, now let's get started with the tour. So first up is tomatoes, and tomatoes are my favorite to grow in my container garden. I'm doing 3 different varieties this year: a Regina, bush steak, and a yellow pear tomato. So the first one is Regina. This is a determinate variety of tomato. I've grown this in my container garden for the past 3 years. This variety is really high producing and it gives me lots of medium to small sized tomatoes. Next to it there, I have my bush steak tomato. This is in one of my largest size containers, and this is a new variety that I'm growing. It's by Burpee, and this is a more compact plant, but it'll still give you those large beefsteak style tomatoes. I'm really excited to see how this one grows throughout the summer months. It should only reach about 2 feet tall at maximum. And the third tomato plant that I'm growing is an indeterminate variety, and this is a yellow pear tomato. So this one is going to grow quite large. I do have it staked up the middle with a really large trellis, and that's to support the plant as it grows. This is also a great way to utilize vertical space if you're growing in containers like me and you don't have a lot of room. This trellis is 6 feet tall, so it will provide a lot of additional support for this large plant. Yellow pear tomatoes are supposed to produce an abundance of little yellow tomatoes that are super flavorful and sweet. I'm so excited to see how this grows in my small space. I've only grown an indeterminate tomato one other time. Next to it there, I am growing zucchini. This is a Gold Rush variety, so it will be yellow zucchinis. I started this from seed and just transplanted it in the last week, so it's small and still growing. Next, I am going to move on to peppers. I'm growing 6 different varieties of peppers in my container garden this year, so it's a lot of peppers, and I think that's the most I've ever grown at one time. I recently did a video on the best peppers to grow in containers, so if you'd like more info on how to grow peppers in pots, make sure to give that one a watch. First up is Orange Juice Sweet, and this is a sweet pepper that I saved the seeds from last year. It produces lots of small orange peppers. Then I'm also growing banana peppers, both sweet and hot banana peppers. I do love both, so I like to grow both varieties. Here is the hot banana pepper. It's really far along for this time of year. I already have 4 hot peppers growing on this plant. And then this is the sweet banana pepper, which is growing a little bit slower than the other one. I'm also growing a sweet bell pepper, which is the Red Baron variety. This one was purchased as a transplant from my local gardening center, whereas the other ones I grew from seed. The 5th pepper that I'm growing in my container garden is jalapeno peppers. I love growing hot peppers because I'm a big fan of spicy food. Jalapeno plants grow quite compact. They only reach 2 to 3 feet tall while still providing an abundance of peppers. The final pepper I'm growing in my container garden is a mini bell pepper. I started this one from seed and it came in a variety pack, so it had a few different colors. I'm anxious to see which color I'll get, and this variety produces lots of sweet and small bell peppers. In my second hanging basket, I'm also growing everbearing strawberries. I grow these every year in my hanging basket. I love the way they look as they drape over the side of the container. I'm growing 2 strawberry plants in this one container. These are both transplants, and I am finally seeing a few flowers pop up, but they are growing a bit slower compared to other years. The next plant in my garden tour is cucumbers. I'm only doing 1 cucumber this year, and it's the Bush Champion variety. This variety produces 10 to 12 inch long cucumbers that are quite large. While it is a bush variety, I still like to use a trellis to support the plant and train it to grow upwards, which helps me to utilize my vertical space. Moving on to beans, I'm doing 2 types of beans in my garden this year. One is a yellow bean and the other is a purple bean called Royal Burgundy. I always like to direct sow my beans in their container, as beans are more sensitive to transplanting and I find they grow better this way. Now I'm going to get into my leafy greens. I grow a lot of leafy greens in my container garden. First up is lettuce. I'm growing 3 different types in my stackable planter, which is Butter Crunch, Little Gem Romaine, and Prize Head, which is a red leaf lettuce. I have to say this is definitely my best year for growing lettuce. I've been experiencing more mild daytime temperatures and my lettuce is really flourishing because of it. I can't wait to harvest all of these fresh leafy greens. Most of these are just about ready for harvest, and I love making garden fresh salads. I'm also growing iceberg lettuce, which is a head lettuce. This is getting very large. I have it in its own container, and the head in the middle is already starting to form. I still love harvesting the outer larger leaves on my iceberg lettuce as well and using them to make salad wraps. Underneath all of my lettuce, I am growing some herbs that prefer more cooler temperatures, which is cilantro and dill. I keep them separate from my other herbs and give them a bit of shade. And then next to it, I have some arugula. I've already harvested off of this a few times using the cut and come again method, so it keeps on growing. And on the bottom shelf, I am growing beets and radishes. All of these were direct sown into the container. Again, because they are a root vegetable, it's best not to tamper with their roots and just direct sow them in the container. Plus, radishes and beets tend to grow fairly fast. Moving on to kale, I am growing a new variety this year, which is black Tuscan kale. I like to grow kale in a spot that receives morning sun and afternoon shade because as temperatures increase, kale can become bitter tasting. I'm also growing dwarf green curly kale. I've grown this variety every spring and fall for several years now, and I really enjoy its ruffled leaves, which add lots of texture to your salads. The last leafy greens I am growing in my garden is Swiss chard. This is the Bright Lights variety, and I'm obsessed with its colorful leaves and mild flavor. The last thing I'm going to show in my garden tour today is my herbs. Like leafy greens, I grow quite a lot as I love cooking with fresh herbs. They add so much flavor and depth to your dishes. So here I have some rosemary, oregano, thyme, and parsley. These herbs make great companion plants, and I like to grow them all together in this one long container that hangs off of my railing. Other herbs I am growing is basil. I'm doing both sweet basil and purple basil this year. To me, basil is a summer staple. I love making homemade pesto, and I'm really excited to try purple basil. This is a red Reuben variety. I always have chives in my container garden as they come back every year in this one container. A new addition this year to my herb garden is stevia. Its leaves have a sweet taste to them that is much sweeter than sugar but has 0 calories. I plan to dry the leaves and then make my own low-calorie sweetener, so stay tuned. I'll definitely be doing a video on that this summer. Well, I hope if you guys enjoyed my balcony garden tour for June that you will leave me a like. Make sure to leave a comment down below. I love connecting with my subscribers in the comments. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button. It really does help to support me and the growth of my channel. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next one.